Good evening, I'm Ian, this is Jane.
Hi.
We're doing the Edinburgh Fringe. Today's our last day. We've done, this is day 12, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we've 12 whole days of reviews, all linked down below. And this was show 3 of the day, which we actually went to another show which we weren't reviewing, but by the same person. So this is Phil Hammond, The Ins and Outs of Pleasure. And we decided to review it because apparently he said he'd not had any reviewers in.
Yeah.
So that's why we slipped in. We enjoyed his other show, so certainly, and that's Phil Hammond Saves the NHS, I think, isn't it? Or 50 Minutes to Save the NHS.
With Dame Claire Gerarda.
Yeah. It's definitely worth seeing. So this was The Ins and Outs of Pleasure. And as the lady sat next to me said, I'm not quite sure what to expect here. So, and as Jane's just been trying to find it in the Fringe programme, it is listed as Phil Hammond, The Ins and Outs of Pleasure. And I'll read you the little bit of description. So, Dr. Phil, brackets, private eye, doctor, sex, sleep and Scrabble. Now, you know him more than me, don't you? Because I
listened to him on Radio 4.
I actually... And I do occasionally buy the private eye, and I hadn't realised that he actually was the resident medic. Dissects the ins and outs of pleasure using science, stories and stuff he's made up. And he'll just tell you which bits are true and which bits are not. Is your pleasure thermostat set to a level that won't destroy you? Are the ingredients of your pleasure soup correct, or are they drowning in pleasure? Do you pleasure yourself and others in a safe and sustainable way? Where does pain fit in? Why do people pleasure themselves so unusually? And there's a few other little bits, like a couple of reviews. I mean, it was 50 minutes. At times it is risky.
Oh, well, it's not risky. It's just that he's explicit. He's a doctor.
Yeah.
And, I mean...
So it's just warts and all.
Yeah, so if you don't like to hear people talk about intimate details, then it's not for you.
No.
And it is, I mean, predominantly it's about pleasuring yourself.
Yeah.
He talks about lots of other things, and it's very funny. It
is very funny. I mean, there is a warning. There's a warning and additional information here. It says scenes of a sexual nature. I mean, there's no scenes of a sexual nature.
No.
I mean, Philly's talking about sex, really. Strong language and swearing. And yes, there is strong language and swearing.
Yeah. And there is, that comes up. I mean, he takes you all over the place.
He does.
He takes you to Australia, to his, talks about his family. And he talks about the idea for the show, that his wife didn't like the title, that he did a dry run at a local WI
in Somerset, which sounds like it was hilarious.
And then he told us what some of the audience, who sort of were in the 70s, 80s, up
90s,
to
100, 90s,
which... that story that he's told, and I'm not going to tell any more about it. Was very funny.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. It was very funny, and it did involve jam in Jerusalem. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I could not repeat.
Yeah.
What else did I? Because I did write notes for this.
We've had 3 shows back to back, so rather than film it straight after, we've had to.
So it went from the pleasuring, but he talked about relationships and the importance of relationships. He talked about the importance of connections, the connections that you have with other people, friendships you form, and how important that is. I mean, I think you come away from the whole show thinking that you basically have to look after yourself in so many ways, of mentally and physically. And and pleasuring yourself is part of that.
Yeah. And there are some crossover, because we've seen both of his shows on the same day. There are some just shortly, there are some short parts which he'd covered in the previous show, and we got them again. but that's, you know, that I don't think that matters. It's just to say that happened, didn't he? And he actually referred to him. He says, "Oh, I've said this in my other show," and you know.
But we have seen both his shows today.
Yeah.
And it matters not a jot.
No, absolutely.
Not a jot.
And actually, you can get. It's worth mentioning. You can get a 2-for-1.
Oh yes.
So if you've bought one of the tickets for one of the shows, you can get the other one at half price. But actually, all of the profits for his shows are going to doctors in distress, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah.
So they're all going to charity. So that's all the money's going, which is lovely, actually.
So as you said, if you've paid full price for both, then that's just more money to the charity.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, it's a win.
Yeah.
You know, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
So he talked about that. There was a lot of reference to people from Bolton, which I have to say I don't know why.
No.
But anyway, the people of Bolton were
ridiculed. It's a little bit.
Were very. So that was quite funny because people from Bolton.
And I'm sure other times you might pick another town, really.
Yeah. The demographic of the audience was mostly older, but that makes.
Do you think that's because he is more, because he does things on Radio 4 and maybe. Obviously he is on TV as well because he's done TV shows and all sorts of stuff really. Now that he has retired as a clinician. Yeah. Do you think that's why the demographic is what? I mean,
I think so because they know his style.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to him or watch his shows.
He has a very forthright.
Yeah, he's very honest, sort of. Yeah. You know, no nonsense sort of.
Exactly.
He's very likable. I mean, like I say, I haven't really. I mean, I know who he was, but I've never really watched or taken any notice of the sort of programs that he's been involved in. But I found him very, very personable, and I laughed like everybody else. I had a really good 55 minutes of fun. It
is very funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
He tells it as it is.
Yeah.
And and I think people respect that.
Yes, I think so too. Yeah.
You know, and he's commenting on life, and the older I get, there is nothing more funny than how people react, how people are in life. And you don't need to make anything up necessarily because, life itself can be.
Well, he did
funny.
make some stuff up.
Well, that's true. Actually, as I said that,
and as he said, some of its stuff was bollocks. Actually, but he did tell us which bits were bollocks and which weren't.
But it is really entertaining.
It's very entertaining.
And,
Yeah. So it's 55 minutes. Again, it's only on this week. It finishes on the 17th. The standard price is £12.50, concessions at £10, and you can do the 2-for-1 thing if you're going to go to both shows. Very, very, he's very sweet as well, because actually when we saw the early show, he flyered the queue for his own show with flyers for the other show, and he did it again at this show. Yeah. And actually, what I also liked, and we have seen it once before.
Yes, I'm clear. Yes.
He at the beginning of the show, he is stood welcoming everybody into the auditorium.
He greets everybody.
Which is actually a really gentle, nice thing. I thought.
That is lovely.
He's very human, very personable. Yeah. I really liked him.
Very entertaining.
Very funny. How many stars?
4.
Yeah, it's a 4-star from me too as
well.
Good. Actually, he was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it sounds like your sort of thing, go see Phil. Dr. Phil.
And can I just say, we obviously hadn't intended to go and see both of his shows today, but we felt that we would like to come, go and review. And we have thoroughly enjoyed both your shows.
We have, Phil, if you get to see this. Yeah. And I've just started following you on Instagram, so I'll send you a message.
Okay.
All right. So we've got one more show to review today, and then that'll be us done for the Fringe.
Yeah.
More to follow shortly. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.